The diplomat's discovery. Dr. Sarah Chin gripped the railing of the submersible as it descended through the midnight waters of the Indian Ocean. At 3 kilometers down, the pressure outside would crush a human body instantly, but inside the reinforced cabin, she felt oddly peaceful. The bioluminescent creatures drifting past her viewport created an alien beauty that never failed to move her. Energy signature confirmed, her assistant's voice crackled through the comm system. Same location as yesterday, but the reading is stronger. Sarah frowned, checking her instruments. For 3 weeks, their survey equipment had detected unusual thermal patterns in this section of the abyssal plain. The signatures didn't match any known geological activity, and they certainly weren't biological. "Take us down another 500 meters, she ordered. What she saw next made her breath catch. Through the submersible's lights, massive geometric structures emerged from the darkness. They weren't natural formations, the angles were too precise, the surfaces too smooth. But they couldn't be human-made either. Nothing this large existed in Earth's deep ocean infrastructure. Her radio crackled with a new voice, deep and authoritative. "Dr. Chen, this is Ambassador Marcus Webb. Return to the surface immediately. This is a matter of planetary security." Sarah's heart raced. She'd heard of Webb, everyone had. He was Earth's youngest ambassador, known for his sharp mind and sharper tongue in negotiations with the Galactic Council. What was he doing on her research vessel? 2 hours later, Sarah stood dripping in the ship's conference room, facing a man who looked nothing like the stern diplomat she'd seen in broadcasts. Marcus Webb was younger than she'd expected, perhaps 40, with tired eyes that suggested he'd been awake for days. He studied her with an intensity that made her uncomfortable. "What I'm about to tell you is classified at the highest level," he began, his voice softer than she'd anticipated. "Those structures you found? They're ours. They've been there for over 2 centuries. Sarah laughed, though it came out nervous. "That's impossible. Construction on that scale would require resources we've had," Marcus interrupted. "And time. Lots of time." He activated a holographic display, and Sarah's world tilted. The image showed not just the structures she'd found, but thousands more. Shipyards. Construction facilities. Launch tubes. All hidden beneath Earth's oceans. "We need you, Dr. Chen," Marcus said, moving closer. In the harsh light of the display, she noticed the exhaustion in his features, the worry lines around his mouth. "In 72 hours, everything changes. The Zephyrian Empire is about to make a very big mistake, and we're going to need every expert we have." "To do what?" Marcus met her eyes, and for a moment, something passed between them, recognition, perhaps, or the shared weight of a terrible secret. "To reveal the truth. Humanity isn't what the galaxy thinks we are." The ultimatum. The war room beneath the Arctic ice sheet was nothing like Sarah had imagined. She'd expected cold metal and harsh lighting, but instead found herself in a cathedral of technology. Holographic displays floated like ethereal sculptures, each showing a different section of Earth's hidden armada. Commander Alexei Volkov stood at the central console, his broad shoulders tense as he monitored incoming transmissions. The Russian officer had spent 15 years in these depths, Sarah learned, watching and waiting for a day he'd hoped would never come. "They're broadcasting now," Alexei announced, his accent thick with suppressed emotion. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a being that made Sarah's breath catch. The Zephyrian High Commander was beautiful in an alien way, crystalline skin that refracted light into rainbow patterns, eyes like liquid silver. But the contempt in those eyes was unmistakable. "Primitive humans," the Zephyrian's translated voice echoed through the chamber. "Your colonies in the Kepler system now belong to the Zephyrian Empire. You have 48 hours to evacuate all personnel. Resistance will be met with immediate destruction. Your fleet of 400 obsolete vessels cannot stand against our 5,000 warships." The transmission ended. Silence filled the war room. General Tara Singh, Earth's defense commander, was the first to speak. The Indian general's dark eyes were hard as stone. They've made their choice. Mr. Ambassador, your recommendations? Marcus stood beside Sarah, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating from him. Over the past 3 days, they'd barely slept, preparing for this moment. She'd caught him watching her during briefings, his gaze lingering longer than necessary. Once, their hands had brushed while examining depth charts, and neither had pulled away immediately. We reveal the fleet, Marcus said quietly. All of it. Every ship, every base, every secret we've kept for 2.5 centuries. Alexei turned from his console, disbelief written across his weathered face. Do you understand what you're proposing? The political implications alone. I understand perfectly, Marcus interrupted, his voice gaining strength. The galaxy has treated Earth as a minor power because we allowed them to. We've been patient. We've been diplomatic. We've been overlooked and disrespected at every turn. He paused, his hand finding Sarah's in the darkness between consoles. That ends today. General Singh nodded slowly. I concur. The Council will authorize Operation Surfacing within the hour. Commander Volkov, prepare all fleets for emergence. As officers rushed to their stations, Marcus pulled Sarah aside into a shadowed alcove. The sounds of frantic preparation faded to a distant hum. I need you to know something, he said, his voice low and urgent. If this goes wrong, if they decide to fight instead of retreat. Sarah placed her fingers against his lips, silencing him. It won't go wrong. I've seen the projections. The math doesn't lie. Math isn't everything. Marcus caught her hand, holding it against his chest. She could feel his heart racing. Sarah, I've spent my entire career navigating political minefields, always alone, always keeping everyone at arm's length. But these past few days with you. She kissed him. It was impulsive and probably inappropriate given the circumstances, but the world was about to change forever, and she was tired of overthinking everything. He responded immediately, pulling her closer, the kiss deepening with an intensity that spoke of shared danger and uncertain futures. When they finally broke apart, alarms were sounding throughout the facility. First wave launching in 10 minutes, Alexei's voice boomed over the speakers. All personnel to stations. Marcus touched his forehead to hers. After this is over. After this, Sarah agreed, squeezing his hand once before they returned to the war room. On the screens around them, underwater bay doors were beginning to open across every ocean on Earth. Rising tide. Captain Yuki Tanaka had dreamed of the sky for 12 years. Ever since she'd taken command of the destroyer Midnight Pearl, stationed 4 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean, she'd imagined this moment. The moment when her ship would finally rise. All systems green, reported Lieutenant James O'Connor from the navigation station. His Irish accent always became more pronounced when he was nervous. Bay doors fully open. Ascent corridor clear. Yuki glanced at him, catching the slight tremor in his hands as they moved across the controls. They'd kept their relationship secret for 3 years, fraternization between ranks was forbidden in the hidden fleet. But in the privacy of her quarters, away from duty and protocol, James was her anchor in the darkness of the deep ocean. Lieutenant O'Connor, she said formally, aware of the 50 crew members at their stations around the bridge. Engage vertical thrusters. Take us up. The Midnight Pearl shuddered as the engines fired. Through the reinforced viewports, Yuki watched as her ship began its ascent through the launch tube, a massive shaft carved through 4 kilometers of ocean floor and sealed against the crushing pressure. Around them, dozens of other vessels were rising in perfect synchronization. Destroyers, cruisers, carriers, dreadnoughts. Ships that had never known sunlight were finally breaking free of their oceanic prison. 3 kilometers to surface, James reported. His voice steadied as training took over. Hull integrity excellent. Formation holding. Yuki activated the ship-wide comm, all hands, this is the captain. In approximately 8 minutes, we will break the surface of the Pacific Ocean. Some of you have spent your entire careers underwater. Your parents and grandparents served in the Hidden Fleet before you. Today, their sacrifice, your sacrifice, will be validated. Today, Earth takes its place among the stars. From Orbital Station Sentinel-7, Sarah watched through high-powered telescopes as the first ships began emerging. The Pacific Ocean's surface erupted like a volcano, water cascading off the hulls of vessels designed to transition seamlessly from ocean depths to the vacuum of space. "My God," she whispered, though she'd seen the simulations 100 times. Reality was different. Powerful. Overwhelming. Marcus stood beside her, his hand resting on the small of her back. "The Atlantic wave is launching now. 75,000 ships from each ocean. 300,000 in the first wave alone." On every screen around the observation deck, different oceans showed the same impossible sight. The Indian Ocean birthed sleek frigates that seemed to dance as they rose. The Arctic released massive dreadnoughts, ice breaking around their hulls like glass. The Mediterranean, the Caribbean, even the smaller seas, all revealed hidden shipyards that had operated in absolute secrecy for generations. "We're intercepting Zephyrian military channels," a communications officer announced. "Their fleet commander is trying to confirm sensor readings. They don't believe what they're seeing." Sarah pulled up the Zephyrian tactical feed on her personal display. The enemy fleet, positioned near Jupiter, was in chaos. Their sensors showed not 400 Earth vessels, but thousands. Tens of thousands. And the count kept rising. In the Midnight Pearl, Yuki guided her ship into orbital position. Through the viewport, she could finally see what she'd dreamed of: stars. Real stars, not simulations or recordings. The sun hung brilliant against the black, and Earth spread below them like a blue marble. "We made it," James said softly, forgetting protocol for a moment. Yuki smiled, allowing herself this small breach of military decorum. "Yes. We did." But there was no time for celebration. The Midnight Pearl was just one ship among hundreds of thousands now forming up in defensive formations around Earth. The second wave was beginning its ascent. Soon, the third would follow. Marcus's comm device chimed. He listened for a moment, then smiled grimly. "Admiral Osei is broadcasting now. The Zephyrians are about to learn exactly what humanity has been hiding." Sarah squeezed his hand as they watched history unfold on screens around them. 300,000 ships had become 600,000. Then 900,000. The final count appeared on every display: 1,047,000 warships. The largest fleet in galactic history. And every single one had been hidden beneath Earth's oceans. The reckoning. Admiral Kwame Osei had waited 80 years for this moment. He'd been a young ensign when the Hidden Fleet program began, had risen through ranks in facilities where sunlight was a memory and secrecy was religion. Now, at 103 years old, rejuvenated by advanced medical technology, he stood at the pinnacle of human naval power. "Open all galactic channels," he ordered, his deep voice filling the command center. "Maximum broadcast strength." His image appeared simultaneously on screens across 2,000 worlds. In the Galactic Council chamber, representatives from 300 species stopped mid-debate to watch. On Zephyria Prime, the Imperial Court fell silent. In markets and spaceports throughout explored space, beings of every description turned to see the human admiral's face. "I am Admiral Kwame Osei of Earth Fleet Command," he began. "For 250 years, humanity has maintained a deception. We have allowed the galactic community to believe we were a minor power, barely capable of defending our own system. This was deliberate. This was necessary. And as of this moment, this deception ends." Behind him, tactical displays showed Earth's massive fleet in perfect formation. The images were undeniable, transmitted from multiple independent sources. "The Zephyrian Empire has demanded we surrender our colonies. They threatened us with their fleet of 5,000 warships, expecting us to capitulate out of fear. Osei's expression hardened. They were mistaken. Earth possesses 1 million warships of advanced design. We have surrounded every Zephyrian vessel in human space. This is not a threat. It is a statement of fact. In the Zephyrian flagship Crystal Dominion, Ambassador Lyrian watched the broadcast with mounting horror. She was a diplomat, not a warrior, sent to oversee what should have been a simple annexation. The crystalline structure of her body dimmed with stress as she absorbed the impossible reality. Tactical analysis, she demanded of her military advisor. The officer's silver eyes were wide with shock. Ambassador, our sensors confirm the human claims. We are outnumbered 200 to 1 in every system. Their technology appears equal or superior to ours. If they engage, our fleet will be destroyed within hours. Lyrian felt her political career crumbling. She'd assured the imperial court this would be a bloodless victory. Instead, she'd led the empire into the greatest military embarrassment in its history. Open a channel to the human ambassador, she said quietly. Marcus received the call in the orbital station's diplomatic suite. Sarah stood beside him, both of them exhausted but unable to rest. The past 12 hours had been a whirlwind of negotiations with dozens of species suddenly eager to establish better relations with Earth. Lyrian's hologram appeared, her usual regal bearing replaced by obvious distress. Ambassador Webb. The Zephyrian Empire wishes to open negotiations regarding an immediate ceasefire and withdrawal. Marcus kept his expression neutral, though Sarah felt him tense beside her. Ambassador Lyrian. I'm pleased to hear your empire values the lives of its service members. We require complete withdrawal from all human-claimed systems within 24 hours. Additionally, the Zephyrian Empire will formally recognize Earth's sovereignty in all current territories and pay reparations for the resources expended in responding to your ultimatum. Those terms are harsh, Lyrian protested weakly. Those terms are generous, Marcus countered. Consider the alternative. Your fleet is surrounded and outgunned. You threatened our colonies, our citizens, our sovereignty. We could demand much more. The negotiation lasted 3 hours. In the end, Lyrian agreed to every term. The Zephyrian fleet began its withdrawal, ships limping back toward their home systems in defeat. When the channel finally closed, Sarah pulled Marcus into an embrace. The tension that had held him rigid throughout the negotiation drained away, and he sagged against her. We did it, she whispered. They're leaving. Marcus buried his face in her hair. 47 other species have requested diplomatic meetings. The Galactic Council wants to renegotiate Earth's status. Everything is changing so fast. Then we'll change with it. Sarah pulled back to look at him. Together. He kissed her softly, no longer caring who might see or what protocols they might be breaking. The old world of hidden fleets and diplomatic weakness was gone. The new world would have different rules. On the main screens, Earth's fleet maintained its defensive positions, a silent promise that humanity would never again be threatened with impunity. New Horizons. 1 month after surfacing day, Sarah stood on the balcony of the New Earth Embassy complex on Luna, watching shuttles ferry diplomats and dignitaries from across the galaxy. The view still took her breath away. Earth hung in the black sky, blue and beautiful and finally, truly safe. Arms wrapped around her waist from behind. She leaned back into Marcus's embrace, comfortable in a way that still surprised her. Their relationship was public now, celebrated even. The ambassador who'd orchestrated Earth's political revolution and the scientist who'd helped plan the fleet's emergence had become something of a symbol for humanity's new era. President Rodriguez wants us at the ceremony in an hour, Marcus murmured against her hair. Are you ready? To watch Earth officially join the Galactic Council as a major power. I think I can manage. They dressed together, the intimacy of shared space now familiar. Sarah wore a formal suit designed by Earth's new diplomatic corps, elegant but practical, a reflection of humanity's evolving identity. Marcus wore his ambassador's uniform, the one he'd kept hidden for years, finally able to display his true rank. In the Grand Assembly Hall, representatives from 300 species gathered. Sarah spotted Captain Yuki Tanaka in the front row, Lieutenant James O'Connor, now promoted to commander, seated proudly beside her. Their relationship had become public too, part of the wave of transparency that had swept through Earth's government after the revelation. Alexei Volkov sat with other fleet officers, their underwater vigil finally ended. Many were seeing sunlight for the first time in decades, their pale skin gradually adjusting to natural light. President Elena Rodriguez took the podium, her presence commanding despite her small stature. The Mexican leader had inherited the presidency just weeks before surfacing day and had handled the crisis with remarkable grace. Today marks the beginning of Earth's true participation in galactic civilization, Rodriguez began, her voice translated into 300 languages simultaneously. For centuries, we hid our strength because we understood a fundamental truth: power revealed too early invites conflict. We needed time to build, to prepare, to ensure that when we finally stood as equals, no one could threaten our sovereignty again. Sarah felt Marcus take her hand, his fingers intertwining with hers. But strength alone does not make a civilization great, Rodriguez continued. What matters is how we use that strength. Earth does not seek empire. We do not desire conquest or domination. We seek only what every sentient species deserves: respect, security, and the right to determine our own destiny. The president outlined new initiatives: joint scientific expeditions with former rivals, open trade agreements, cultural exchange programs. The Zephyrian Empire, humbled but not broken, had become Earth's unlikely partner in exploring the galactic fringe. After the ceremony, Sarah and Marcus found themselves on the balcony again, this time joined by Yuki and James. "Strange, isn't it?" Yuki said, watching the Earth below. "For 12 years, I never thought I'd see the sky. Now I can't imagine going back to the depths." "Some ships are staying underwater," James noted. "Maintaining the bases, just in case. Part of our strategic reserve." "As they should," Marcus agreed. "We've learned the value of secrets. We just won't be quite so secret about everything anymore." Ambassador Lyrian approached, her crystalline form catching the light from Earth. Over the past month, she'd become an unexpected ally, working to repair relations between her empire and humanity. "Ambassador Webb, Dr. Chen," she greeted them formally. "I wanted to thank you personally. You could have humiliated the Zephyrian Empire completely. Instead, you gave us a path to honorable peace." Sarah smiled. "Crushing your empire would have made enemies. Working with you makes allies. Besides, we're going to need all the friends we can get. The galaxy is bigger than any of us realized." As the sun set over Luna's stark landscape, casting Earth in golden light, Sarah leaned against Marcus and felt a profound sense of possibility. Humanity had spent centuries hiding, planning, preparing. Now they were ready to truly explore, to engage with the universe not as supplicants but as equals. "What are you thinking?" Marcus asked softly. "That we're finally free," Sarah replied. "For the first time in human history, we can reach for the stars without fear." Below them, Earth's fleet maintained its eternal vigil, 1 million ships standing guard over humanity's cradle. But they were no longer hidden. No longer secret. They were a promise and a protection, ensuring that Earth would write its own story among the stars. Marcus kissed her temple. "Then let's make sure it's a story worth telling." As night fell over the embassy, ships from 100 worlds docked at Luna's ports, bringing diplomats and dreamers, scientists and artists, all eager to engage with the species that had hidden an entire navy beneath its oceans. Earth's long deception was over. Its true journey was just beginning. The end.